Good morning, good day. On this day, February 9th, 2021, this is your friend, Engineer Suraj Singh, addressing to all our world about engineering profession, about civil engineering, about life of a civil engineer and work of a civil engineer. It is something very common but ignored. When something is ignored, that thing doesn't exist. We have to be very clear in this regard that we should not ignore anything as such. If we ignore ourselves and we ignore ours. So better don't ignore anything as far as profession is concerned, as far as quality is concerned, and as far as we can say whatever is concerned. Title of this talk is Civil Field Engineering, which is a gross title covering lot of scope, disciplines and sub-disciplines. Some people don't like to be called civil engineering because they intend to be called structural engineers. Well, they should know that structural engineering is also a part of civil engineering because all structures relate to civil. So just it's a question, it's a matter of thinking only. Yeah, your title is welcome, you are a structural engineer, but doesn't mean that you're not a civil engineer. So better, for public sense, you may call yourself whatever, but for public sense, let it be clear that civil engineering includes structural engineering. Structural engineering does not include civil engineering, to be very frank. So designs, which is a part of civil engineering and structural engineering as well. Some people have confusion about that. Then methods of all disciplines. It may be designs, maybe planning, it may be whatever, and you can say construction, and then contracts issues, which are very, very important. Because contracts play a vital role in civil engineering and particularly on construction. It plays a very vital role. And FIDIC, is a standardization organization, just like ISO 9000, like that. And then construction organization, I say construction organization, of course, certain entities of whatever scale which are assumed to be specialized in structural construction. Because I'm not talking of architectural construction, I'm talking of structural construction. Because structure is a structure, and without structure nothing happens. Then we can say coordination, quantity, communication, and on top of all, on cover of all, you can say engineering demands quality. Engineering demands quality, and if quality is absent, I don't think something is acceptable. Nothing is acceptable if quality is absent. That is very important point. We have to be clear. Why should no quality be there? Quality is an absolute requirement. Quality is an absolute requirement along with quantity. You can say when we say something quantified, this means that includes qualification, or you can say qualification, or you can say whatever we say, quality. It relates to qualification of that item or of that good, or you can say that good has certain limitations, and those limitations are covered by adopted quality or included quality with that item, and that quality is very significant part of that item. If you do not understand that way, there is no other way to explain. Quality means quality of system and quality of product. Quality of system is a ruler is, you can say, a kind of mover, and quality of goods is ultimate result, which can measure indirectly what system that organization which produces good adopted. Actually, nothing is absolute in this world. You see, quantity wise, or you can see quality wise. Nothing is absolute. We have to apply certain scale on all, on quantity as well as quality. Because quantity, when we say, there's also some description of that good, that item, and that description is always given in specification. So that quantity which we refer to, its quantity in relation to specification, and also specification requires production of good with quality or qualification. So that limit of qualification is also indicated. So both are limited, both are not unlimited. We should just understand this basic point. To be very frank, whole world is living on relativism. Relativism means we cannot say it is absolute or it is not absolute. Nothing is absolute because everything is related to other item or original source, which is also defined as a relative source. So we have to define engineering in that way. Engineering is also not absolute, we can say. Engineering is also relative, which is based on certain assumptions, based on certain considerations, based on certain adopted criteria, and within those limits only we can say this is quantification and this is quality. Engineers are very much linked to issue of quality. It's not only civil engineering but also all other branches of engineering relate to quality, relate to such issues. And engineering, because it relates to life of an individual and life of any society and economy, it is much more prevalent. But engineer term itself says that you have to do it. Engineer means you have to do it not physically but physically and mental, both powers, physic and mental energy required to be applied to get some good. If engineer thinks it that way, so, and there you can say turnkey. Both are there. Both are, and both are useful. Otherwise, we can't do anything. Certification, construction, turnkey, and you can say engineering world is full of business or practice of engineering does it very well. Construction, as we know, is a combination of structure. Spelling itself says construction. Struct. What is struct? Word itself tells this. Article itself tells that struct relates to structure, relates to structure. Concentration of structure, you may say, where various structures are joined together, various members of structures are joined together, and that results in structure. Structure of whatever mode, structural framing of structural buildings, or you can say simply supported work, bridges or flyovers, or you can say portal frames, or you can say road which is not a frame, and we may say also certain dam work, etc., which is also structure but not exactly what we are talking. So, if you go into field of this, if you go to pipeline even, by water pipeline, pressure pipeline, where you will find, thrust blocks structure. You will find structures of chambers, manholes, so catch basins, or oily manholes and other manholes. You shall find structures of bases for pipelines on hills, and like that means structures are unlimited. Structures of industrial buildings, sheds with structural steel with very long spans, structurals where pre-stressed concrete is used. So there is no common ground, we can say. Structures are unlimited, and thousands of structures have been completed throughout world. Structure production is a kind of innovative presentation. Innovative production is not exactly, you can say, routine. It's based on contemplation. It's based on engineering contemplation. It's based on theoretical contemplation. It's based on working trying contemplation. There are so many ways you can do structures from engineering viewpoint. And construction is a part of structure itself. Just like we say design of structure, we can say just like construction it is, that can be design structure. But we simply call it design. No problem. Structure includes design, structural includes execution of design, and structural includes, you can say, investigation, innovation, and everything. We cannot simply say that only design is structure. More than design is implementation of that structure, because design is validated only when structure is executed or prosecuted, or you can say formed on site. Formation of structural elements combinations are very important, because only then we know design is of what level, and after how many years would it reflect its values, its input. That would depend upon value of distress structure undergoes, or limit of hysteresis structural material undergo. Whether structure would serve throughout its reliability value, or it shall not be that durable as was initially contemplated. Just you cannot assume everything. Experience based learning is very significant. We consider while constructing or while designing certain levels of all heights, vertical, and you can say vertically and horizontally profiles are given. Would this sustain forever, or this would alter? Answer can be constant values cannot stay forever. Always there occur changes, minor changes, and there, you can say, settlement of structures cannot be avoided. Research work must be done on that, particularly for very heavy structures, which we call heavy foundations, where forces are too high in relation to bearing capacity of soil material, soil formation. I still remember one project, LNG, when I was working in Doha, Qatar. It was 1995 or 6, I think, yes. That LNG tank, which is very heavy element, you can say, foundation raft foundation, of course, on graded fill, and graded fill does not settle too often, yet it was a process to record level of those bases, those foundation rafts, every week or fortnightly, I exactly don't remember, and it was called Record of Surveys, ROS. Means on that circular tank, these foundations, or you can say that at certain frequent intervals, levels were taken on coordinates of all foundations. And there was some code requirement or specification requirement that was tolerance of level changes between two, or if you compare to neighbor, say if you take 1 meter grade, level here at 1 meter and then another 1 meter this way and that way, can be only within this tolerance. There could be further tolerances in neighbor level point and others. So just to make sure that whatever settlement occurs, that should be within this limit. And this was done from foundation to top of wall of that LNG tank that was 50-meter height. So when work was going on, had been going on, labels were taken continuously, and also when it was filled with LNG gas. It's very heavy, and it should not, settlement should not exceed defined limit. So it's a kind of, you can say, operational research work, and this was case when it was graded fill, engineered fill, you can say. Fill means engineered fill, or it is general fill, or it is ordinary fill, means there are so many classes of fills. So when we say graded aggregate fill, which is a rock fill, you can say, very stone chips or aggregates are filled in, and voids between that are further filled with further minor size aggregate, and then further with dust and compacted. And that's, you can say, a kind of artificial fill or engineered fill, which can even go, which achieve density even 99% or more. The 98% is ordinarily taken for buildings where structure rests, and up to 90 down can be taken where there is no structure but general ground. So 90%, 95%, 98% or more. Such classes of fills are executed, are done in field depending on what type of structure is raised in that. Because it's very founding, must understand that turnkey projects are generally of very heavy nature. Means you are constructing a plant, and when you hand over that plant or you declare that plant closed, that time actually project closes, but plant comes into operation, and there's nothing the owner has to do but just to start it and working on this, operating this, and start production or whatever process that plant was meant for to conduct that, carry out that. So that's a kind of EPC turnkey project. EPC where engineering design is also included along with procurement and construction. Here responsibility of design lies with organization. Generally in oil field, these ownership organizations are called company. Company in contractual term, an organization that you can say is related to oil ownership. Oil ownership, like you can say Baruch in Abu Dhabi, you can say ADNOC in Abu Dhabi, or you can say Qatar Petroleum in Qatar, or you can say in our country also many such organizations. Such organizations can be whatever nature, can be operated by either government or private, but Such organizations, we call them companies, and to whom these organizations generally involve for purpose of design and construction. Such contracting organizations are called contractors, or you can say EPC contractor. So one is owner, that is company at global level, and EPC is a contracting organization which can further give contracts to other subordinate contractors, subcontractors, like civil works contractor, mechanical works contractor, or equipment and whatever. Means unlimited further process. Whereas we say, when we talk of exclusive construction, that can also be EPC based, because if contract classifies to EPC category, then design and construction generally go to contractors. But here, company is not entitled name. Owner is owner or employer, and contractor is contractor, construction contractor or EPC contractor. In this, generally, when we say contract for construction, this means that construction is of prime importance rather than something else. Construction is very general name here, because generally when we say structure work, heavy structure work or building structure work, or you can say where ordinarily we can say design is given by an engineering service firm, for which payment is made by employer, and that service design firm issues all details of construction to employer and to contractor. These details are based on all considerations, requirements, what is destination of that project, what is objective of that project, and it involves all international codes. And company or entity and organization that does on it, that is called engineering designer, or you may say if otherwise engineer, and also if that organization supervises, surveillances, or takes care of all works prosecution in capacity of manager, that's called engineer. Little difference what is construction and what is EPC, because we will talk of this in combination now. EPC turnkey projects and you can say EPC turnkey projects and also construction projects, and then certifications as well. Both all are linked together. When we talk of construction we talk in a packaged manner. When we say construction, this means production of structure. First requirement is structural production, which is prime work on any structure, on any building or other, you can say other use buildings, use structures, railway line it may be, water line it may be, sewer line it may be, road work it may be, airport it may be, institution buildings it may be, are all where construction goes on. Everywhere structure is involved. We cannot say that pipeline, sewer pipeline doesn't involve structure. No, it does. Water lines also involves, heavy water lines also involves, not only structure, very heavy structures. If you take example of very big water lines running on ground, because generally these run on grounds and they rest on sleepers, very heavy sleepers, at certain frequency of say 10 meters, 5 meters, 20 meters, like that. With sleepers and thrust blocks, and then there are structural steel elements, stairs on that, and also various other kind. Then it's based on stress analysis software. Engineers analyze stress, means at what line, what coordinate, what turning, what shall happen, ductile pipe, steel pipe, or GRP pipe, what to do. All are structural elements, sleepers and foundations, and where it's hung somewhere, maybe it crosses over some reservoir or some canal, or some other. So structure exists everywhere. Even in road itself is a structure. Where you say pavement of airport, which is also a road, and heavy flight goes on that, plane goes on that. So we have to see about that, based on its CB, its California bearing ratio, CBR, that structural road is designed. Also, you can say, if you are thinking of structures, dam design, and uh, dam design or canal design, where hydrostatic and hydrodynamic water pressures are involved, retaining wall and flyovers. I can say there's nothing we can say that it's like that. Means we have to we have to have to do structural designing, and sometimes it's very small element, while other time it is massive heavy element. When we design a silo foundation, grain silo foundation, it's very heavy raft. If it is you can say rock foundation, rock formation. It will be something else if it's a soft soil formation. It depends, means and structure is not alone. You have to do structural foundation. A structural foundation you have to do, and that depends on what formation strata do we have. We can have formation strata that could be soft soil, or you can say that could be have high water porosity, or it could be dry soil, or you can say it could be sandy soil where water flows in turbulent manner, or it can be rock, dry rock, fissured rock, or it can be some other nature, or there will be varying strata. So all that this all this presence, all this information actually make decision. This involve these. It's themselves make decision, and we have to interpret and from reports which are called soil investigation report. Soil investigation report, which is very important first work on whatever proposed project. It's of course very high significance, but unfortunately it's ignored in some countries, like ours, we can say. It's very similar, exactly. If you see this in our country, one temple is being built, which is called Ram Mandir, and they even designed extraction and everything, building design is complete. But when you excavate it, you came to know that there was a river flow below. This means soil investigation was not conducted professionally. I'm just referring to that one as from news. I don't have any information otherwise. I'm just using that information which I got through news, that there was some sand availability below, which indicates river flow there. This means soil engineering was not done. That's what I say. Soil engineering, which is very basic, which is too basic, you can say, without which you cannot even imagine structure. And if we condemn it in the beginning, it's done here only like that. I have seen many soil investigation reports during my career, and those reports relate to ordinary buildings, and those reports relate to commercial building and oil plants, you can say process plants. And I was fortunate to read those reports and go and understand them, which understanding gave me much more knowledge about soil which I could not get in from books. And that knowledge is of immense value if you use it, because that report is prepared and authenticated by soil specialists as well as civil engineers, because both are involved in that. And recommendations are also available among those reports, which recommendations you can say are useful in deciding about future of that foundation. It could be isolated footing, it could be raft, it could be strip, it could be pile, and means you may require most important activity also, that is called soil improvement, which can replace many problems. So that's important, and it's not only important on very heavy projects, it's also important for every project. You can say if we ignore this fact, we ignore something we should not. After all, why ignore something which is required basically? We should not we should not we should not do that. If something is required, means required. What otherwise? As an engineer, and you, if you are an engineer, you must accept this fact that if you miss something in engineering, you miss a lot. If you just assume and do something, I think that that's nonsense. If engineer just starts assuming everything and doing job, then it's not way of engineering. Engineering is, of course, in its initial commencement stage, it's too slow activity, but once we understand what we have to do, what we make decisions, then it's very fast, very fast. And also, it's not only when we make decisions based on reports of soil investigation, we have to also corroborate that what we recommended or what we accepted, whatever value of bearing capacity or whatever value of cohesive element or whatever value of shear we accept from investigation, that must also be further validated, or you can say verified in field during excavation work. And that is done. That's done as part of construction. Unfortunately, civil engineers sometimes do not care for this activity, and which actually is ignorance, based on ignorance, and this leads to future problems on buildings or structures. Structural world, construction world, and design world are actually one house, not other house, individual houses. If I don't know how to do good structure on site, I just maybe I learned wrong in my life. I learned substandard activities in my life, and I think that that's only one, that's only structural one. And we say, I have so much experience, I will do it. But what I'll do, I'll repeat what mistakes I committed in the past. So how can we actually go on a streamlined track? You can say a streamlined track, and a streamline is what? What is a stream here? Our stream is that we have to move quantity of whatever item, whatever product, whatever good, whatever element that should be according to required specifications, or you can say required methodology or required system or industrial good practice, not bad practice. It is cost. It is cost in construction engineering that weighs very heavy percentages. It is time, that is also cost of one type. Means we are saying cost, original cost, and we are saying time. Time also is a cost. If I delay some project for one day, which means there is a damage to that project. I have lost one day, and then operation starts one day delay, with one day delay. We keep in mind that cost doesn't mean cash. Cost means loss due to whatever mistake, whatever ignorance. Delay is also a loss. And then if you do something in panic, if you don't understand what should be done, or you don't have any concrete method decided with written statement, these three factors come into play of time loss, money loss, quality loss, and of course safety loss, risk involved. People may not accept, some people. Everybody cannot give quality, that is also true. Everybody cannot understand and give safety, that is also true. And engineering doesn't mean rush. Engineering world does not amount to rushing. Rush is not accepted, speed is accepted. Speed within prescribed limits. If we keep up drawings, provisions, whatever given on designs, well coordination is done on that, very good coordination and communication is conducted on that, as well as work in field is done with complete patience and thorough knowledge. Thorough knowledge of drawings and thorough knowledge of working. We can achieve quality. Quality is not achieved under force. Quality is achieved under patience and under determination. And if we do not determine quality, I think we miss something which can't be defined. Quality is such an element which is very, very important from every point of view, and we should not have done any compromise with quality, because quality is not only material quality, it is quality of whole system. Whole system means, I'm just trying to find, whole system means, you can say project whole system, and we may say it's not, I'm not talking of operational system, I'm talking of what I'm saying is I'm talking of this quality. Quality. Do you know this word? Well, I am very fond of this word, quality. Quality. I don't know how this word came into being. Quality. 6 or 7 letters. And this is a threatening word for whole world. You may be surprised why I am speaking as such. Yes, I say this is a threatening word because when quality comes into question, it's not only for material, it's for professionals. Professionals who do not own quality, who do not have quality working, I cannot accept such professionals. Quality first applies to professional, engineering professional first of all, and all other professionals can say all. Quality of working. It doesn't mean your dressing sense, I'm just again telling, it doesn't mean your English communication, it doesn't mean what you think, but it's directly focused on your professional lead, your professional style, your professional follow up, and your professional whatever you do. That should be consistently done and that should be competently done, and that is called quality, or you can say otherwise it is reliability. I can say quality leads to reliability, and reliability means sum of certain parameters like safety added to service ability, added to durability, added to risk consideration and risk solution, added to knowledge areas, whatever is left. So, when I say if a person who knows itself a professional limit, professionals who first empower themselves with quality, character, quality function, they it takes time. I can't say just you pass engineering and you are a quality engineer. Yes, you could be a quality student indeed. That is agreed. Quality student. But no one can say once you come out of university and claim that you are an engineer or a qualified bachelor in engineering, you have quality stands. No, it's not like that. You are a good student, you are a good scholar, quality scholar can be, but that is applies to individuality because small examination, a few hours examinations cannot tell about you what you are. Yes, it can tell that you passed, you have this grade, and you are little different, you are not same as all, and all are not same as you. These points must be clearly understood. Quality. Why quality? Why not leave it? What does it give? Yes, there can be a projectile of questions on this. Yet quality is a must. It is required or it's not required, but quality is a must. Professional individual quality is very much required because it affects whole process of quality. Process of quality, when you say professionally, is required. What is your professional quality level? If I ask this question, maybe many of you answer and many of you may not answer. Because generally we do not count quality of people. We say quality of material, quality of product. We keep ourselves up to that limit. But what sort of person you are, that is also counted as quality. What sort of intelligence you have, that's also a kind of quality. And whatever practical approach one got, that's much more than required. Because test is not an examination, that is only a formality to pass. But test is on learning, how much you have learned. Once quality standards are known, for example, engineers quality, I say, engineers quality, advocates quality, medico quality, chartered accountant quality, professor quality, teachers quality, leaders quality, there is no limit. If engineer says or claims that one is quality engineer, then we can know that we have to talk to this engineer for certain hours to know his quality. So quality is very important in in engineering, because generally products are engineered products, we can say. You buy anything from market in solid form, or everyday milk also come, that's not solid form. That's why I say, if you are engineer, if you are quality engineer, your work would be different. Your focus shall be on achieving best product that should serve, that could serve involved person in its totality. My approach of working as an engineer, or engineer's approach of working as an engineer, it depends upon an individual. If you start something from zero and go to some areas where such ownership likes, quality of a person, when I do something, I should know what I am doing. It doesn't mean there should be a prescribed or definite arrangement of methods what you should be. Your profession teaches you what you should be. Your knowledge teaches one what you have to do. So when we say like that, a person is quality boy. Quality boy means it is much greater than having no person. Quality engineer means who is a genuine engineer and works genuinely and does not demand money immediately. When we say quality product, quality engineer means it's not an ordinary engineer. When we say these engineers are here moving here and there with no jobs, those are not engineers. To be very frank, quality is a must in engineering. You are typing something, broken letters, broken words, not accept words. Quality brings value, it doesn't lose value. We say value engineering, quality is a part of that value engineering. Because if you are maintaining quality, you will improve every aspect of that thing. When I talk about quality in engineering, I talk of quality of whole management, whole organization, including client's organization or client itself, site organization, and others. Quality means everything. It doesn't mean no. You have to accept this fact. That is quality management and compliance verification, use of site data, etc. You have to be very clever in this sense. So, system is very important, without which we cannot move. We have to be of that sort. And we have gone through many topics, many requirements of contracts, and we were somewhere right of access was over. Performance important fact. Clearance of site which we have done. We have done it. That's why we are seeing clearance of site. What do we do? Promptly, after issue of performance certificate, contractor has to remove and shall what? Performance certificate says you are clear of contract. Means you are having a discharge from liability of this contract within limits, not absolute. So, promptly after issue of performance certificate, contractor shall contractor shall remove whatever remaining contract equipment, surplus material, wreckage, rubbish, and temporary works from site. Reinstate all parts of site which were affected by contractor's activities during execution of works and are not occupied by permanent works. What says? B is reinstate all parts of site which were affected by contractor's activities during execution of works and are not occupied by permanent works. I think you understand meaning of permanent works. Works means there are three major works: temporary works, preparatory works, and permanent work. Permanent works means which is done is permanent, cannot be removed, and for which you are paid. And temporary works means any work we do just for use of some item, activity of some item, and that is temporary work. And when we say, you know, we say permanent work. Permanent work means we do something that would stay on project forever, and because it's done. Leave site and works in condition stated in specification and if not stated in a clean and safe condition. If contractor fails to comply with sub paragraph as given above, statement leave site and works in condition stated in specification in a clean and solid and safe condition. When we say contractor fails to comply with subparagraph within 28 days after issue of performance certificate, employer may sell to extent permitted by applicable laws or otherwise dispose of any remaining items and or may reinstate and clear and clean that works. Now we can say if employer shall be entitled subject to this clause claims for payment and EOT to payment for by contractor costs as reasonably incurred in connection with attributable to such sales or disposal and reinstating clean the site. So we can say measurement and valuation now. We did this. We talked about this measurement and valuation because measurement means whatever work done, you have to quantify. You have to quantify whatever work is done and should be measured and valued for payment which you have done. Important point is this the method of measurement, valuation of work done, omissions. Now we can say let's briefly say let us do something on this. Let us read it and then understand this. Work shall be measured and valued for payment in accordance with this clause. Work shall be measured and valued for payment. Next, variant. Now you have to see, we had done it last time, but still you have to remember that valuation is very important part of, you can say, works. And brief, you have to understand means what is actually talking about. I'm not going into much details of this, but valuation and management is what? Every work is to be paid, we know, and whatever amount is to be paid is already agreed. It's not that we are going to pay extraordinarily, and no payment is made extraordinarily. It's obligation on one part's party to pay, and it's in obligation on other part to get work done, to get work done and receive this payment. For that, measurement is very basics for everything. If you don't have any measurement here, if you don't have any technique, then you have to measure what you consider one quantity. When we talk of measurement to reach certain valuation of work, this means if it is item wise bill, item wise contract, it's very simple to measure each item and enter in some record, that we call it record entry of some work done. And there are various volumes, repetition of images, its size, and Measurement can be done in whatever way. It can be done by dimensions or it can be by levels. Generally, in major projects, levels are decided beforehand. There may be for basement, cellar, ground, intermediate, fast. Yeah. Valuation amount is very important for contractor because it moves circulation of money, and of course it's not final valuation. It is, valuation, you can say interim payment valuation. It's not final, and moreover retention money shall be held, which is almost 10%. uh, uh, Sorry. So what it says accept as otherwise stated in contract. Engineer shall value each item of work by applying measurement agreed or determined in accordance with works to be measured and method of measurement. For each item of work, appropriate rate or piece of our item shall be rate or piece specified and has method in this. For each item of work, appropriate rate or price for item shall be rate or price specified for such item in bill of quantities or other schedule, or if there is no such an item specified for similar work. Item of work which is identified in bill of quantities or other schedule but for which no rate or price is specified or sustained. Mm. Any item for which is identified in bill of quantities or other schedule, but for which no rate of price is specified, shall be deemed to be included in other rates and price of bills of quantities or other such schedules. New rate or price shall be appropriate for item of work. Mm, mm, mm. Mm. Uh, Now, the new rate or price shall be appropriate for whatever item of work. Item is not identified in and no rate or price for item is specified in bills of quantities, yet whoever has an issue. Uh, you can say measured quantity of item is charged by more than 10% from quantity of this item in bill of quantities or under schedule. This change, measured quantity of item is changed by more than 10% from quantity of this item in bills of quantities or other schedule. This change of quantity multiplied by area rate of piece or piece is specified class of uh, Hmm. Now let's move further. About rate of price is in approximately because the item of work is not of similar character or is not executed under similar conditions as any item of work contract. The measured quantity of item is changed by more than 10% from quantity and of this item bill of quantities or other schedule. Uh, a measured quantity of item is changed by more than 10% from quantity of item in bills of quantity or another schedule. This change in quantity is multiplied by rate of piece of work by detail estimate and say change in quantity multiplies rate of price specified in the quantity or other schedule for this item exceeds 0.01% of accepted contract amount. Now, this change in quantity directly changes cost per unit. Quantity of this item may be more than 1%. Item is not specified in bill of quantities or other schedule as key fixed rate item, fixed fixed charge or similar term referring to rate of price, which is not subject to adjustment for whatever change in quantity. Work is instructed, clause 16 under additional instruction. We say variation. Each new rate of price shall be derived from whatever relevant rates or prices specified in bills of quantities or other schedule with reasonable adjustment to take account of markets and take uh, Now, each new rate or price shall be derived from relevant rates or prices specified in bills of quantity or other schedule with reasonable adjustment to take into account matters described in subparagraph as applicable. If no specified rates or prices are relevant for derivation or new price rate. Okay, we can say each new rate or price shall be delivered from derived, from either relevant rates or prices specified in BOQ or other schedule with reasonable adjustments to take account of matters described. If no specified rates or prices are relevant for for derivation of a new rate or price, it shall be derived from reasonable cost of execution of work together with applicable percentage of profit that can be now. We can now, for this purpose, it shall be derived from reasonable cost of executing work together with applicable percentage of profit, which may be 5% if not given. And if for item of work engineer and contractor are unable to agree appropriate rate or price, then contractor shall give notice to engineer setting out reasons why contractor disagrees. After receiving a contractor's notice under now is subclause unless at that time perception is nice. Proceed what you say when you have to analyze it. Proceed, you can say, to agree or determine appropriate rate or price. And for purpose of the subclause, date on which engineer revised receives contractor's notice shall be date of commencement of time limit for agreement. So unless such time as an appropriate rate or price is agreed or determined, engineer shall assess a provisional rate or price for purpose of interim payment certificate. Whenever emission of what forms part, variation, omission we are talking of, deletion you can say. What does it mean? It is called title omissions. It is omissions. Omissions, whenever omission of work forms part of variation, value of work, value of which has not otherwise been agreed, contractor shall incur and has incurred costs which if work had not been omitted would have been deemed to be covered by some foreign part of acceptable part of work. Sorry. Value of work which has not otherwise been agreed, contractor shall incur costs which if work had not been agreed would have been deemed to be covered, forming part of accepted contracts amount. Omission of work shall result in some not forming part of contract price. This cost is not deemed to be included in valuation of any substituted work. Variations and adjustments we had you can say value engineering we had gone, and valuation process we had gone. It's a very important part we are done. Now we are done. Interim payments, scheduled payments we did. Then we are there. IPC. Payment, let us see what is payment and delayed payment we did. Statement of completion, final settlement. IPC. Let us say issue of IPC. Final payment certificate we are talking. Within 28 days after receiving final statement. Within 28 days after receiving final statement of or partially agreed final statement, as case may be, and discharge under subclause, engineer shall give issue to employer with a copy to contractor final payment certificate which shall state what? Let us see. you know, we had I amount which engineer fairly considers his final due, including additions or deductions which have become due and determination or under contract or otherwise. After giving credit to employer for all amounts previously paid by employer and for all sums to which employer is entitled, and after giving credit to contractor for all amounts if any previously paid by contractor and received by employer under performance security, balance due from employer or contractor or from contractor to employer as case may be. If contractor has submitted a draft final statement within the same time specified, engineer shall request contractor to do so. Thereafter, if contractor fails to submit a draft final statement within a period of 28 days, engineer shall issue FPC for such an amount as engineer merely considers to be due. Contractor has submitted a partial agreed final statement under agreed final statement. No partial agreed final statement has been submitted by contractor, but to extend that a draft final statement submitted by contractor or deemed by engineer the partially agreed final statement. Engineer shall proceed in accordance with the clause issue of IPC, issue an IPC. Liabilities now. Liabilities. Okay, we'll see what to do with this. Hold on, please. Just a minute. I'll see what to do with this. Actually, I got something here. I want to use this for something. It's very important here. That's what I think I should be. Here I say start. Okay. Now you can see something I'm giving you, which is very important here, and it is, which you can say, it's something, a kind of sample I'm showing to you. A sample, and that is a contract performance status report. Let us say contract performance status report. This is which we had discussed. You can say a statement of performance, or statement of completion. It can be called a statement of completion. It can be called. It's very important point. We have to understand what I'm talking about. I refer to you that contract performance status report. So I'm just showing you a sample. It is, it's about how many pages? Let us see. It's in 47 pages, you can say. But it's very important document here. You cannot deny this fact here. It starts with title here. This project name. This is related to service contract. Means what references are given. You can say it may not be on every page. I don't remember, but we can say that we'll give a reference in the project is 225 MW gas power project at whatever. Forget that name or title, but project is given, and there's a related to service contract reference is given, and contractor response to whatever is given here. References are now contract performance status reported side HRSC service, which is the title of that. Doesn't matter. Only important is what we include in that. That's important. Relating to package, you can say firm lump sum contract in force as referred above. This is a contract party means employer, and then there is a address etc. of employer. Then there's contract party, there's a contractor, and there's address here which has nothing to do with you. And title is status report, status report submission, status report submission. That is, and it is, you can say, just below it a little more. Status employer purchaser, that is this one. Date of report is, let's say it is somewhere in 13, so don't worry with that. It's a status report here. We have to see how to do that. Now, what is forward? It's forward now. It's a kind of cover letter, you can say. A forward, employer entitled, forget name, private limited is abbreviated as this, and contractor entitled this is repeated this. Report has been prepared for purpose of including within project permanent records that may be used by ultimate user for references on future plant operational stages. You got this point. It's very important. This report has been prepared for purpose of including within project permanent records that may be used a thorough analysis, can say, this contract performance has revealed that project has been delivered by contractor whatever name to purchase professionals without causing any considerable hardship to employer. There might have been certain delays, there might have been certain delays or certain misunderstandings evolved to have clear concept over scope of contracts. But ultimately, issues had been resolved by mutual interactive agreements between both parties, that is, party 1 and party 2, employer and contractor. Whenever such issues had been either generated or raised, either by professional interaction face to face or by conducting formal meetings or by conducting raising technical queries or engineering clarifications through electronic media, etc. Here SIPR and GPR, don't worry about them. One is SIPR, here is employer, and GP here is contractor. You just keep that in mind for issues. Consequently, exported to this contract from other contracts, because there are so many contracts that between these two parties which to some extent impacted certain delays on this contract. But damage control exercise brought back performance to required acceptable state of deemed contract completion without causing considerable damages to an overall performance of contract project. All else could have been within practical controls of services contractor. So these are only reasons documents have remained a non-referral for whatever responses carried out by GP, or you can say contractors, which documentary records would assist all personnel to work in operation contract team of power station during working or operative life of plant. An attempt has been made to professionally project contract performance, achievement, and also to some extent its failures as well, so that each party on this contract and interrelated external parties should benefit from all such records for now or else also in always in future. Certain issues or incidents have been witnessed on contract prosecution which should have been avoided by collective and collaborative attempts to have been initiated by both parties, but it appears that professional harmony did not exist in those circumstances due to gradually deteriorating relations between employer and contractors' personnel for sake of non-payment issues primarily. This is I'm talking point 6. Just remember I'm talking about. I repeat so that because very important para. Certain issues or incidents had been witnessed attempts to have been initiated by both parties, but appears that professional harmony did not exist in those circumstances due to gradually deteriorating relations between employer and contractors' personnel for sake of non-payment issues primarily. So employer and contractor should have remembered the objective of both parties on contract had been about delivery of project by various collective and collaborative efforts without allowing personal egos from both parts to intervene to hold accelerated speed of project prosecution. Point 7. One such incident had been delays on statutory approval pertinent IBR documents which had been resolved amicably between employer and contractor. Since certain misunderstanding respecting procedures adopted by international authorities or our counterparts had conflicted, I'm not using name of countries. Issue pertinent documents had been pulled excessively longer than required, unnecessary. Through moderation, which has brought prosecution. Point 9. Surprisingly, a lot mails have been recorded for this issue, which an expert of project management and contracts would determine that it has been a waste of time and waste of expert workforce deployed on parts of both parties on contract. 10.10. Other incidents had been when project manager deployed by contractor had been arrested for none of his the default on contract, which action on part of employer amounts to an inadmissible access on contract administration philosophy and operation, since should have been resolved either at site level or at management level without involving framing project manager under criminal action. 11. This incident had to be avoided by employer management available and superintending activities on site, but by just promising and ensuring that demanded dues would be cleared in due course. But It failed to act with issue of such mismanagement and registered one FIR which should be condemned, flayed at all costs. Point 12. It should also be recorded that project belonging to employer who is responsible under contract obligations to make payments to contractor in defined time of raising a statement of valuation on which requirement employer employer has failed drastically, and it's also further surprising that from such incidents it appears that employer had not been intentionally inclined to resolve this issue amicably for desire of gains of time and I'm sorry, while contractor acting of patience just by holding just by holding certain activities for a few days so that normalcy, working peace and working environment should be reinstated at site which had been lost and destroyed naturally by unrequired arrest of contractor's key personal leader on site representing contractor, which position is contractual and not an ordinary assisting one. But on contrary, employer served termination notice on contractor on this date, which service of notice to embarrassed and excited contractor who had already been turbulent in sheer financial crisis. 14. 14. One more incident when access to equipment by contractor each other when these both had been responsible together. In this case, higher shareable percentage of responsibility extended right information pertinent soil conditions followed by required site and engineering support in full to achieve efficient unloading of expensive equipments. It has to be noted that GP are not civil engineering experts. I mean to say, contractors are not civil engineering experts, while it's job of employer whose site personnel did not understand requirements and there had been no feedback from corporate office management as well to support contractors organized properly. Point 16. Incident of crane collapse is also horrifying on site, which indicates that no expert personnel on safety had been deployed by employer to monitor and superintendent project on an overall basis, which also means that safety management did not exist on site on state of art requirements. And contractor 2 is responsible for this incident, yet employer cannot deny to share its prime superintendence and executive management control responsibility. Contractor requests purchase